Insane in the membrane.
Hello and welcome to another edition of your favourite podcast, Insane in the Membrane. And this week I'm joined by the mighty Richard Hardisty.
Hello
He's
there,
back.
how you doing?
I'm
back.
back. Yeah.
And you got a whole new setup this time. This is well snazzy.
Isn't it? You know what I mean?
Got your count in, you got your little intro music. It's amazing.
Isn't it funny how long that counting is? It just, I was like, oh, wow. Yeah. It's only...
It makes you start, my anxiety starts to peak. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. Because you see it and you think, oh my God, I'm about to go live to loads of people. It's like, oh no, hang on, it's okay. We're just, to Rich, it's okay.
Just on tape.
Yeah. I've had a, God, I couldn't sleep. For some reason, you have one of those nights where you couldn't sleep last night. And for some reason, I got up to about 4 a.m. So I took some more of my medication, which is like a sort of antipsychotic called quetiapine. So now I'm still slightly wired. It's quite nice and dreamy, all this. Feels quite surreal. Oh man, yeah. But thanks for having me back. Really good to be back.
We had such a good chat last time, and you know, you're just the top dude. And so I was like, yeah, of course, come back on, man. Yeah,
cool, man. I've had a bit of a weird morning. I don't know. For some reason, I woke up this morning, and maybe it's the pills kicking around. But for some reason, Abby Titmus just floated into my head, and I just sort of had a Google of Abby Titmus and just found out what she was doing. Remember Abby Titmus from the noughties?
Wasn't she going out with Peter Crouch or something? No.
Is she? No, that's
that wasn't
Abby Clancy.
Abby Clancy.
By the way, I hate the fact that I know so much absolute tat information. My brain is like so good at retaining rubbish, but it's so bad at retaining any sort of relevant stuff. Like I got no GCSEs, but I'll be able to, like, if you ask me about a film, I'll be like, is that the one where DiCaprio he's got an earring in with a little skull in it? Like, does he? I'm like, oh yeah, he does. Like, why have I remembered that?
Yeah, I know. I'm the same. Just mindless bollocks, just rattling around in my head. But then when someone actually says, "Listen, we got that meeting. You got to do that thing," and I'm like, "Oh shit, yeah, I forgot. Sorry, mate."
That part of our brain was taken up with Abby Titmus or like something else. It's like, sorry, I had something else in my mind. I'll tell you another thing as well. So I don't know why it's just because I've had a weird morning. I don't know about you, but I don't know how I've ended up following these things. I've somehow ended up following little Twitter accounts called stuff like Fight Haven, where it's just people having fights in the street. And I keep waking up and like, do you follow any of these accounts? I don't know when I followed them. No. It's just people that I'm like, why do I wake up and look at a man beating some? Anyway, so I ended up watching some, like, some of them are quite funny. They're like people who think they know karate who don't know karate.
Oh yeah, I love those ones. Yeah.
It's funny. Some of them are actually really psychologically interesting though. Like there's one where it's just really interesting when you think about. There's this guy who he sort of like has a following of, like, he basically convinced his followers that he has sort of these like amazing capabilities to do with like ninjutsu and stuff. So he'll like literally touch them with his finger and they'll go down. Right. So he's sort of like, so then he'll get called out by people on the internet who are like, listen, mate, this isn't real. I'll fight you. He'll be like, okay. So he goes there, really believing he's going to knock these people out, and they get smacked out. So like, it's sort of interesting in terms of like when you look at these documentaries to do with cult members, like and cults, like it's not as clear as like one guy being he's brainwashed himself as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not like, get it.
It's quite interesting. Like he's not who's deluding who here, because he's saying he's got powers, and then they're going, you have got powers. So he's thinking, I've got powers. So it's like it's confusing about whether it's like a snake eating its tail. Anyway,
I know what you mean. Because they convinced themselves that they can do all these things, and then
if it gets sent back to you, that's all your gauge of reality is. It's like when you're famous, you think I'm amazing. People go, you're amazing. So you think I'm amazing, and then people get annoyed at you. But it's like it's not as clear. You didn't just think that out of nowhere. It's like Justin Bieber. He didn't just become crazy out of nowhere. He was sort of sent crazy by us. It's like, if at the end of the day, it's quite easy, isn't it? It's like for us to say, why do you keep getting your top off? But if every time you get your top off, you get 250 million likes, you're going to probably keep doing it a lot more.
Yeah.
It's just that no one's giving us that. It's like that's your gauge of reality. Like, woo!
No one's waiting for me to take my top off. I can tell you that now.
No, me neither.
Oh no, there is one fella, and he keeps messaging me. And I find it quite entertaining. He's like, "How you doing?" I've never met him. I don't even know him. He's just an internet person. I went, "Yeah, I'm good. How are you?" He went, "Yeah, fine." Any nudes? And it just makes me laugh. And I'm like, "Nah, not this week, mate. Not this week."
No, sorry. Yeah, like, if things go off the skids, maybe if you're willing to pay. Get an OnlyFans, you could be all right.
Do you know what? The way it's going, I might have to.
Have you ever, on a serious note, have you ever like? I remember when I was a kid, like. I do admire people who can do that. It's like I'm sure some people it like can really damage you, but like Would you ever contemplate doing that if you knew there was an audience for it? Would you ever? Oh, here's the thing: if you knew there was an audience for it and you can make a lot of money, would you ever contemplate making a porno or being in a porn film? I'm just curious. We've all thought about it, haven't we?
I think the idea of it, if they offered me loads of money, I'd go, yeah, do you know what, fuck it. But I don't think on the day I'd be able to perform. I don't think I could do it.
I don't either.
I just need things in a certain. So I can't even have music on if we're in the bedroom because I'm too busy going. Oh, that is a tune.
I love this. Rich, concentrate. Sorry, yes.
Sorry, what were we doing? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yes, I forgot about that.
But maybe OnlyFans. Maybe if people wanted that, I'd do it. I'd do that. If you just want to see.
You see a little bit.
Yeah, but then you've got a great body. Yours is better than mine.
It's mine. I think I'm just constantly lean because, well, obviously I've had issues in the past with eating, but I've always lived on my nerves. I've never ever put weight on because I've obviously got very, very thin in the past, but I'm always I'm constantly on edge. I'm never relaxed.
No, right.
I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, no, I got to do stuff. It's like, my energy is very high frequency. So I'm just like, yeah, I think that sort of burns a lot of calories.
So any food that goes into your body just evaporates as it goes in. Yeah, it's already burnt up in the atmosphere.
Exactly.
How are you finding that now? Are you all right with that, with the food and everything?
Eating and stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's a constant battle. To be fair, I mean, it's never. It's not. I don't think I'll ever be completely normal. It's like when you go through something traumatic, or if you go through like drug addiction or whatever. I think some people can just drink, and some people can't just drink. You'll always think, even if you're an alcoholic and then you decide to go sober, you think, you know what, I'll allow myself a beer today. You're not going to enjoy it the same way that other people enjoy it. They can't just mindlessly throw it back. No matter what I do, I'm always very aware of what's going in my body. You know what I mean? And what effect that's having. I can never. It's like peeking behind the curtain and seeing how the sausage is made. I now know so much about what affects me, and I've become so obsessed with something that I can't unlearn it, unfortunately. But I'm so much healthier now. I get all my vitamins, and I'm under the care of a team as well. So I get my bloods and stuff taken every sort of 3 or 4 weeks, and so I always know if I'm not healthy or if I'm under. I mean, I'm sure I could always eat a lot more if I wanted to, but I know now what works for me. I think it's just finding out what works for you.
Yeah.
And just sticking with that. But yeah,
I've what's been popping up on my feeds a lot lately are diet, fitness people. And there's a couple of them that I really like. And there's one guy he's Australian. I don't know if he's a fighter or a football player or whatever he is.
They're always whatever they do that, and they also do a bit of MMA on the side nowadays.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But this guy he goes, hey cunts. I'm just going to talk to you about not being a fat cunt anymore, and it's brilliant because he goes, look, eat what you want, eat whenever you want, but if you want to lose weight,
burn it off.
He goes, eat less. He goes, going to the gym for 3 hours is not going to help you with fat loss. He goes, because you're still eating like a piece of shit. So he goes, and he talks about all these other fad diets like having 2 teaspoons of olive oil every day. He goes, that's equivalent to this much bread. So you might as well have the bread. Just enjoy it. But it's all about moderation. He said you can eat what you want, but you just have to don't eat all of it.
Don't go too mad. Yeah, it's balance. It's always balance, isn't it?
Yes.
I hate hearing that because I'm a man with no balance. So it's always like people say it's quite simple, Rich. You just need some balance. I'm like, well, that's the worst thing you could have said to me. As a man with bipolar disorder, it's supposed to.
If you get an idea in your head, then that's it. You're gonna go and do it.
Obsessed about it, exactly. Oh man. But Go on. I was just gonna say, I'm sort of a lot better, but as I was just reiterating that point, it just always wanted to be one of those things that's going to sort of just something you have to accept. Once you accept it, it doesn't sort of stress you out anymore. It's not like I don't sort of think, oh, I wish I could be eating that. I'm sort of eating what I like, and I don't feel like I suffer it anyway in the day. Do you mean I don't feel like, oh, I wish I could be eating that. I just don't eat that because I don't feel like I want to eat that. I'll just eat what works for me. And so I'm good. I'm good, man.
Excellent. I mean, I'm the same. What I've noticed now, because I've said this before, whenever I was getting on a train or I was travelling in the car, I was always like, right, I need to get all this food because I'm travelling. I'm gonna treat myself, and then realised I was having like 2 or 3 meal deals a day, and then you go like, oh well, that's sandwiches, so that's fine, and then you look into it, you go, no, that's as many calories as a burger. You might as well have a burger.
Well, I should have had something I wanted.
Yeah,
exactly.
I saw this thing the other day. It was I think it was an advert for KFC or something, and it was talking about a cold pot of pasta and a packet of crisps is neither a meal or a deal. And I'm like, they're just having a go at each other now.
It's the deal. It's the scam there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fiver now. I was like, that's not a deal. Go fuck yourself. But yeah,
that's, I always find it.
yeah.
£5, man. Yeah.
Mate. But it's
No,
all,
that's the other thing.
it's like trying to fight those thoughts where you go. So now I'm like, no, are you hungry? And if you're hungry, have something to eat. But if you're not hungry, don't eat anything. And I'm finding that because I'm just going, because you're going to think, well, I could eat. You go, no.
Yeah.
Do you need this? So now it's
I know what you mean.
now it's better. So now I'm enjoying meals more because they're not all the time.
Yes,
You know?
and I think it's all about, and obviously mindful is a very big word nowadays, but it's just doing things mindfully. It's like, okay, you're not just sort of like constantly, because it's just, sometimes you're not hungry. I think your tongue is just a bit bored.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, I want a bit of a buzz, like sort of a bit, I want something, but it doesn't even need to be, that's why people smoke, people do anything, don't they? They sort of put some sort of stimulation, but it's like, I'm actually just wanted to not feel good. And if you just sort of, I guess if you hold out and just eat till you're actually hungry, it's, eating from the right place, I guess. I'll tell you one thing though, when we're talking about food, actually, I am a lot better now, but I do find that, like, if I do get like unwell, or if I get stressed, or if I get into a very sad place, then I can feel that the part of me that would sort of like want to starve myself creeps back in. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
It's like more like a self-harming thing. It's more like it's just like, I don't deserve to eat. So now my body will just lock up.
Oh,
so I just have
really?
to sort of, but I'm more, I think it's just an easy way to sort of like punish yourself. It's like, if you're feeling sad or something, it's like you sort of want to go in on yourself. So I do find my brain sort of latching onto that a lot quicker. But because I'm mindful of it now and I know what's going on, I'm like, oh, because it's happened so many times. I'm like, hang on a minute, don't be doing that. I know why you're doing that, and just sort of, I can sort of let it go.
Yeah.
But my brain just definitely, like in the same way that sometimes people get stressed and I guess they reach for drugs sometimes. They're like, they know they shouldn't do it, but their brain just wants a little, fuck it. It's like a sort of like, you're not doing drugs in a fun way. You're like, fuck it.
It's press the fuck it switch, which I do it so many times. And I'm like, oh, fuck it. Fuck it. I'll worry about it tomorrow. And the next day I'm like, why do I do this to myself? But we do seem to, a lot of these eating disorders seem to be punishment. Like when you've got bulimia and anorexia and all this, it seems to be we're punishing ourselves for being alive almost.
Yeah, it's more like, it feels like, well, it's a control thing, and it's like it's just not something. Same when you break it down, it's when you don't love yourself, or like you don't sort of like. And that sounds like really therapy heavy speech here, but like, it's not the sort of thing you would do to yourself if you really liked yourself. Do you know what I mean? It's just not, when you catch yourself doing the action and whatever, it makes yourself sick or starving yourself. Why would you do that? Like you wouldn't do it to someone you love, like if you had a kid. If you saw your kid doing it, you'd be like, what are you doing? Oh my God, this is terrible. It's just when we do it, or like putting drugs in itself, you're like, no, you don't want to do that. Because you're like, I love you. Don't you ever do that. But we treat ourselves differently. So
yeah, it is. It comes down to that. Self-love, self-worth. I think I'm in a better place now. I'm not ashamed to look in the mirror, which I did for years. I was a bit, for whatever reason, and then, stuff that I'd been through and whatever else. But now I can look in the mirror and go, you're all right, you are. You fuck it up now and again, but you're all right.
You're all right. Like that's so key, man. Once that, it's bad if you spend your life. I've always tried to do that. I just want everyone to like me. I wanted to know that I need to be able to walk into every room with my head held high. Do you know what I mean? I think everyone needs to do that. And like sometimes if you do, as a kid, you don't realize this, but same in your 20s, you're doing stuff and probably saying stuff when you're younger, like, because you're learning your way. Yes. And that stuff that creeps up on you until you're like, oh, I don't like myself very much. Like, you're just like, oh. And then it's like, you have to address all those things. As you get older, you're more sensitive to things that you do and the impact they have on people. It's like, like if I ever say something, I think, I haven't upset that person. I'm a bit obsessive about this, to be honest. I have to contact them immediately and say, listen, just, I said that. I hope you didn't think I meant that, because I didn't mean that. And they'll normally go, what are you talking about? I'm like, sorry, it's just, that's eating me up and it's consuming me. So I need to have a clear, especially if you're a performer as well, you need to be going on stage. But that's why sometimes I hear about people who maybe in the public eye, who you find out they've been doing a lot of sort of bad stuff. Or maybe it's, like, I'm not saying they're bad people. It's just, you must get lost in yourself. And then to be able to go out and have those things in your consciousness, like say Harvey Weinstein or whatever, ex-people like that, whatever. Like, how do you go out in front of the world's media, knowing that's all in your head, that's going to screw your head, knowing that you might get found out any moment. It must just be a minefield. It must create so much anxiety and sort of unrest.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Well, I think they're arrogant enough to think they'll get away with it. They're getting away with it. Whereas, like the likes of you and I, if we've done something, that guilt we find it crippling, and we want to make amends, and we want to go, look, I'm sorry, I did that thing.
Yeah.
Whereas these people are so corrupt and so arrogant to go like the reason they're doing the things is because they think they're untouchable. They've got this power, and they just think, and they're so, this narcissism as well. They go out in front of everybody, thinking that they're fooling everyone, they're getting away with it, and everyone's like, no, we can totally see what you're doing, you know.
Yeah.
But they're so arrogant and narcissistic that they don't feel it. They don't feel those things. They just, you know, I'll get away with this. I'll be fine. Don't worry about this. And
it's maybe a little bit of the thing of that like that I was explaining earlier, that karate guy. It's like, don't worry, I'm fine. Everyone else is telling you you're fine. It's like, because everyone's smoothing over it. You're probably in a circle of people. There's a lot of money being made around you. It's like,
yes,
you probably have there'll be a cognitive dissonance where you don't even realize it. You're not doing it. You're not even doing it thinking you're evil. You're just doing it thinking this is what I do. Do you know what I mean? I can imagine you get to the level when that's how it feels. So like, this is just the way it works, because everyone else seems to be okay with it. It's like, no one seems harmed because there's no repercussions of it or anything. It's not like you're dealing with it on a daily basis. You just do something and then it goes away and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fine. It's only when people go, oi, and you go, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, I'm pretty sure after Harvey Weinstein did actually get caught, there's no way he would ever done it again, because he'd be like, whoa, 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 I get it. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm actually sorry now. And I do find it tricky sometimes. I do sometimes see things online where people will do something and they'll say, you're only apologizing now because you got caught. But like, that sort of has to that seems perfectly logical to me. I don't think someone bad of getting caught and then apologizing. I mean, it's like, I don't know. What do you think about that? Do you know what I mean? It's like, should he have apologized before? He might have realized it, but not wanted to do anything. And like, obviously, maybe getting caught is the thing that you needed to make you realize you had been doing something about it. I don't know. I'm not talking about anyone in particular here. I'm just wondering, like, I think it's if you're doing something and you didn't realize you were doing it, or you were caught up in something, and you were trying to get yourself out of a situation, and then you get found out, and then you go, I'm really sorry. It's because of this. I was in this situation, and it all kind of snowballed. I'm really sorry. I was just trying to do the best thing for everybody, and blah, blah, or whatever. But when it's blatantly trying to get away with something, and then you get caught, and then they go, oh, I'm really sorry, I will take myself away, and I will give myself a talking to, and blah, blah. You go, that's when you go, you would have just carried on. You would have just carried on. Like Harvey Weinstein would have just carried on doing what he's doing. 100%. 100%. All these people would have carried on, but I'm saying, well, what do we do in that position? What do we do now? So maybe it's a bit of an intense conversation. Now, what do you do in that position where, like, if someone gets caught and they apologize, what do we do? What do we do? Something really
what's happening lately, these pile-ons on Twitter and things like that, the people that are instigating the pile-ons don't even want an apology. They don't want that. What they want is to decimate and destroy that person. They want that person to be absolutely annihilated and have their whole world taken away. In fact, they want that person to just vanish. And then they go, oh, look what we did. We got rid of another one. And they go, no, that was just someone that fucked up. They made a mistake. They said the wrong thing. They have actually addressed the fact that they said the wrong thing. It might have been a video from a few years ago where they were naive enough to think what they were talking about was fine. But now you're digging it all up, and now you're just going after that person because you want that power. You want to turn to be an arsehole.
Yeah.
And that's the thing there. They don't want the apology. They want to have the power of destroying someone's life.
Okay, yeah,
Maybe.
That's the thing. It's when it tips over into, I think that's the thing that really gets me. It's really weird as well. Like, it's when you see, like, it's when it becomes like a joy to see someone like squashed, or like in the same way that I really don't like those paedophile hunter videos on YouTube, because there'll be like a paedophile, right, which obviously almost the worst thing I can think of. But when I see these sort of guys catching, going, see, we got you. I'm like, there's too much pleasure being derived in this sort of like. Obviously, I'm not saying that what the person did is right. Clearly, it's not. It's one of the worst things ever. But it's seeing the joy in, like, I think that is part of our human brain that we need to overcome. That's the ego part of the brain, isn't it? It's like, got ya, and everyone goes, you start buzzing too hard, and then it's like a drug. It's like someone. I met with Tom Ward the other day, and I was just chatting about, like, there's a certain point where if you're in an argument and you find yourself buzzing off being right, like, that's when you should stop arguing, because it's like you've gone mad with the thing, like you've lost. You're just like ha 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 ha, and it's like you start to get excited, like. And that's. I need to breathe, come back a sec, and I think, is this the right thing to do?
It's power.
Because we want power. It's power. It's power. It's power. It's such a brilliant feeling, isn't it? We've all had those arguments where you're just like you're shaking. It's like you've just gone skydiving. But then afterwards you're like, probably should have said that. I don't think.
Yeah. Do you know what? I can't remember the last time I got. Oh no, there was a few. There's been a few arguments with my ex-partner, but that's different. But there's been stuff with people where they've gone, no, Rich, I sent you this stuff. I go, you haven't sent me this stuff. I haven't seen it. And they go, Rich, you replied to this. And I'm like, oh fuck yeah. And I've genuinely just forgotten. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, you did. Yes, I did. Oh shit. Sorry, mate. But I'm more than happy to go. That was me.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Mate. Sorry, I'm an idiot. That's the good thing about being a comedian. I think it's like it's one of those things where it's like, well, I'm an idiot. We all know I'm an idiot. I make a living out of being an idiot. It's such a good thing to have, I think, because it's like I see some people in the street and like business people, and they'll walk along and they'll trip up, and I'll see them go like they look distraught. Because their persona is like, I'm a cool, confident guy, and I'm like, oh God, oh no, this is not who I am. Whereas, because me, I'm an idiot, and I spend my life saying how stupid I am on stage. When I trip up, I just go, there's a bit more material for me there. Perfect.
Do you know what? I was in so I did a gig the other day, and it was in a posh private members club. Right, I'm not showing off, but. Yeah. There's a reason. There's a reason for that. There was a dude in there. There was a dude working in the toilet. And I went in the cubicle, and I'm sat there, and I let out the biggest fart because I was hanging on to it in the gig. And I went in there and let out the biggest fart, and I heard the guy go, and he laughed. And I went. I was sitting in the cubicle, and I'm like, oh, that was a good one. And he went, yeah. we were laughing. But a few years,
see each other?
No, I was inside the cubicle still, and but had that been a few years ago, if I wasn't doing comedy, I would have been destroyed. I would have been so ashamed.
Oh, God, it would have got you. I think that's. I was thinking about it the other day actually, because there's a lot of chat about things to do like gender toilets. Different toilets having stuff like men and women space and women. But I was thinking, I was for the first time the other day. I went into like a unisex one, and it was normally the argument is that like women don't seem to want men in there, but I was like, oh no, there's a woman coming in, like I need poo. Oh no, what's she? Oh no, it's like I don't get out, get shame. Like this is. What if I'm gonna come keep you to see me and you're gonna no, it's me. I just stayed in there for ages. It's the first time I've had that.
Do you know what? I did that in Edinburgh. I was in Edinburgh, and the where we were, the toilets were fucked. The gents was fucked. And I'm like, I really need to go to the toilet, like really badly. So I'm going to go in. And I went in the ladies. And I was sat in the cubicle. And I was in there with my mate, Vix Layton. And so she's in the other cubicle. She did her thing and she left. And I'm like, right, I'm going to just, right, she's gone. I'm going to just do what I need to do. But then as I'm doing it, another woman came in and she's in the cubicle. I'm like, oh, fuck. And then I looked and there was no toilet roll. I'm like, oh, shit. And now I'm in there. I'm like, oh God. And I don't know what the woman in the other cubicle was doing. Like she was getting undressed or dressed or doing something, costume change. She was in there for fucking ages. And I'm like, oh God, fuck. And then I was trying to text, and then there was no signal. So I'm trying to text Vix. Going,
please, bring toilet roll, emergency.
Sort some toilet roll. She's like, and she has no idea. And then I was in there about 25 minutes. And then in the end, the woman left, and then I had to sort of scoot round to the other cubicle, got to the toilet roll, and then I came out, and Vix is like, I thought you'd fucked off. I'm like, oh, you have no idea the turmoil and shit I've just been through.
Yeah.
God.
Oh, man. Nightmare.
So you've mentioned that you've upped your dosage, Rich. Is that what you said? Just last, for some reason, I found it a bit hard sleeping recently. The good thing about, I take quetiapine, which is antipsychotic, which is... it's for schizophrenics and epileptics and bipolar, but it really helps my brain. So it relaxes you?
It just sort of like stops me going. This is the first medication I've been on where it's allowed me to, like, because I'm not a depressive person. So for the sort of last 20 years, I've obviously tried me on different medications and stuff, but they'd always put me on SSRIs, which are sort of antidepressants. But I'm not a depressive person generally. I'll have manic depressive episodes, but I'm not someone who is, that's my general state. Normally, I'm just whatever I'm feeling is going to be very extreme, like woo, or like, ugh. So I take this, it's called quetiapine, and it just stops you from going too mad, but still allows me to still be pretty mad. Like the guy who's taking care of me is a really amazing guy. He's called Dr. Mark Salter, who Stephen Fry spoke to him on the bipolar documentary. He's just NHS, obviously. He's but he's really good. He's been running Hackney in North London for the last 20, 30 years. So he's seen he's worked on psych wards and sectioning people, and he's given TED Talks and stuff and written books.
Wow.
And anyway, he said, look, Rich, I don't want to kill your spirit. I know some people might want to just get rid of that, because sometimes, the NHS and stuff might be quite overstaffed. They want to just look, take this. He's better, fine, leave it. But he said, I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that you can still be magic and do all these sort of things.
Oh, that's amazing.
So, yeah, and he even said to me, look, said, Rich, there are no rules to this. A lot of this is all guesswork, with all this sort of medicating and stuff. So he said, look, here's the thing. Look, I'll tell you what, crush. So remember, do you ever used to do cocaine when you were a kid? I was like, yeah. He went, okay, right, well, crush these up into a little bag, yeah. And if you ever need a bit, take a little bump.
Yeah.
If it works for you, there's no you must take this milligram or this milligram. You take what works for you, and they take what works for them, and that's it. And I'm like, so such an interesting approach, such a basic thing.
Yeah.
But to say that there's no right way, it's not anyway, yeah. So that's been really, really helpful to me. I take it when I need it, and I take it in the morning and on an evening. But if I do need some in a day, I can always just take a little bit. And
yeah. Oh,
Keeps
mate,
me-
and it helps you sleep.
Cake helps me to sleep. Yeah, it's lovely, nice. Really helps me. And last night, I woke up at 4 a.m. I was like, I need to get back to sleep. Took a bit more, and so yeah, still feeling it now. It's good.
But that is that you've hit the nail on the head there. I know we talked about this before, but what we didn't cover was, I think, with antidepressants, they do dull your light, and you're not the person that you could be or are. And I think that's so important when you're going down the medication route, is to try and find something that still makes you able to be you, rather than just a dulled version of it is harder to do, because once you get, because people, the other thing is as well, people are scared once they've got medication, they're kind of scared to question it, because they're like, oh, someone's told me that this might be all right, so they're probably right. Whereas a lot of the time, it's like therapists. You're not going to find the right therapist first time. It takes a while to find one, a good one that you kind of connect with and gets you.
Exactly.
So you shouldn't be scared to say, after a little while, go, look, I don't think these are the ones. Nothing's working out for me. Is there anything else we can try?
Yeah, there's plenty more, and it's not I think some people have some people are quite anti, I'm not. I just think, look, end of the day, I've seen so many people who are so distraught. I'm like, you do whatever works to make you happy. If going out to the middle of the street and you just going, blah, 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 makes you happy, just whatever it is, I don't care. Whatever works for you. And some people have holistic things. People say, well, that's nonsense. Look, if it's working, don't rock the boat. It's working. If you're happy, it's working.
Yeah.
So it might be nonsense. It might be a placebo effect, but placebo effect works. That's why it's called the placebo effect. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You feel like it's working. And I just, for me, it really has helped me, and I don't want to sort of come off it anytime soon. I'm sure in the future I will get in it, because I do get an urge where you just sort of, it's more curiosity, where you're like, what if I could just stop taking this now and see if I could go completely mad? It's just part of your brain where, do you know what I mean? What would happen if I just stopped taking this? But then I've got too much stuff on at the moment to be able to.
Having seen your show, which is brilliant, and we're coming to see you on Sunday again, actually.
Oh, mate, amazing!
Right, Nikki, Kate, and I are all coming.
Oh my God! Thank you so much. I haven't done the show for 4 months, so
it's going to be great, mate.
A bit nervous. Yeah, be okay, won't it?
You'll be fine. But what I mean is, having seen your show, now's not the time to be taking any chances with. Maybe I'll be all right this time. It's like, let's get the tour out of the way, and then
get settled, and then
and then maybe you can muck around with these things. But
I mean, the show would be interesting, for sure.
Listen, I want to see that show. The one.
Yeah, selfishly, I'd love you to do it, but I don't think it's right.
We'll call it Unplugged. Just see what happens.
Yes, love it.
Oh man, so are you working on new stuff? Or you've just not time at the minute?
I mean, at the moment, I've just been. So I got a development deal for the TV show version of the thing. So I'm currently writing that at the moment, and Yeah, got a big gig at Soho Theatre again on the 9th and 10th. So some important people coming back to that.
Excellent.
So I'm writing the pilot for that. That's been consuming me a lot, but really, really happy that I've managed to make the live show. The hardest thing I wanted to do was to just make all the feelings you get from the live show and the sentiment and like what you take from that show into like a 6-part series. So I managed to do that, and it really works. And I'm really excited. So that's been consuming my brain. And then just looking forward to this tour. And I went to LA obviously and did those gigs over there. That was mad experience. Have you ever been to LA and gigged, or New York?
I've never gigged in LA. I've gigged in New York, and I've gigged in sort of upstate New York and around that place. And I've gigged in Vegas, but never LA. Wow. LA is massive. It's fucking vast, man.
What a mad place. Yeah. I mean, I really quite like, in the future, I would like to spend like, in my dream, because I've got an American passport, because I found my dad who's American. So
that's right,
burning a hole in my pocket. So I'd like to sort of do 6 months here, and then just, when it gets really cold, just go over there for 6 months, because it's quite good. It's a place where it's like you're on holiday. It feels like you're cheating. It's like, so I'm walking on palm trees everywhere, but yeah, I'm sort of taking meetings. I'm working sort of here. It's like, it feels like, because as soon as I see a palm tree as an English person, all of a sudden I'm like, I'm on holiday.
Yeah.
I'm on holiday. But it's like, but then I suppose you have to rewire your brain to think, no, I've still got to buckle down here. Because...
Well, do you know what? I only really started travelling when I got into comedy, and so a lot of where I've been has been connected to work. So there's always been an air of, this is lovely, and we're sitting on the beach now, but tonight I've got a gig to do, I've got a show to do. So it feels really weird when I actually go on a holiday and I'm abroad, and I'm kind of like, well, what now? What do I do? Because
to be fair, I am like that anyway. I am someone who really struggles to relax. I have to have something to do, something to be doing in my brain. Like I remember the Stanley Kubrick documentary, and it was with his a guy who was his like DOP or something, or his like producer. And he once called Stanley Kubrick was very obsessive as well. Like obviously, as we know, he was just like he very definitely had something going on psychologically. I mean, he spent like 4 years researching. He wanted to do a movie on the Nazis, and he spent 4 years researching the garments, looking at all the sort of like threads in the coat, getting his producer to take pictures of the streets, and like anyway, he looked into it so much that in the time that he'd researched the jackets and like the streets, like Steven Spielberg had written, directed, produced, and released Schindler's List. He was too late now. I had to just sack it all off.
Shit!
It's like he was like that's how in depth it was. But anyway, his producer said that he was once on holiday after they'd wrapped on something, went on holiday, and Stanley Kubrick called him and said, hey, you could hear like the wind or something. He said, where are you? He went, I'm just on a beach. He was like, where are you? He went, I'm on holiday. He was like, what are you doing? He went, nothing, I'm just sitting here. He was like, why? Stanley Kubrick could not get his head around, like, you're just sitting on a beach, just staring at the ocean. Are you insane? It's like, some people just need to do something with their brains. Like, it sounds like hell for these people. I'm the same to you. I've been places, but it's always been to do with work. I've never really treated myself. I've never had any money, to be fair.
No,
to begin on holiday.
So that's the same. I was always working, so I didn't really have time. I didn't go on a plane till 1998. That was the first time.
Really?
Yeah. When we took.
How was that? As more mature.
Yeah, so I would have been 1998. So I would have been 26.
Wow.
And we took the lads. My youngest was only tiny, and we went on a plane. And I'd never been before. I didn't know what to expect. It's because I've been doing some work. I had a shoebox full of cash that I'd been chucking in there. And then,
love it.
And then we went right. We're going on holiday, and we went on holiday with the cash, and it was great. And
where'd you go?
We went to Fuerteventura.
Fuerteventura, I think I've been there at one point.
Very nice.
There's Fuerteventura, Menorca, Mallorca. They're the classic staple sort of places, aren't they? And did it spin you out going out? Did you have any anxiety about it? Were you just like thrilled? What was your?
It was thrilling. I'm scared of heights, so I thought that was going to be an issue. But weirdly, when you're in a plane, I'm happy to look out the window because I don't know why. I guess I just trust it all. But
that's interesting. I always think that. I think because. I sort of boxed my head a little bit. Like, if you're scared of heights and you go to space, are you scared of heights? Because it's so far, the height has sort of gone out the window. You know, it's like it's not like you can. When you look back at the Earth as a pinprick, is that scaring you? The height of it? Like, is it high or are you low? Like, what is that? And then also, so you can't be, if you start to pull it to another planet, which way is the height? Are you scared of, is that the, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Where are you? What are you scared of? I think it's.
What am I scared of here? It's weird.
Now, well, then you're getting into another different, into more fears when I see film. Like, there's a film called, what's it called? It's George Clooney and Sandra Bullock. Gravity. And there's a bit when one of them, I haven't seen it, I've just seen the clip, and the clip makes my stomach turn over. When one of them gets cut loose from the space station and they're floating off. Imagine that. If you're just floating off into space.
Oh, mate, sometimes depression feels like that. It's like someone's it's like just totally detached from everything. Just like, what am I doing? Just totally helpless. Like,
and there's no, and as you're drifting off, the voices are cutting out, and you're suddenly on your own.
Yeah, can you hear us, Rich? Rich, gone. Yeah, no, that is one of the scary. I mean, it's mad that people have actually been through that. That has got to be one of the most terrifying things in the world. Just like, guys screaming, but like silence. Yeah,
silence. And you're gone, and you're just gonna die in space.
You can't kill yourself. You can't sort of you can't end it. I mean, you can't. Oh my God, scary. What a lovely conversation this is.
Well, that was it. Yeah, I suppose you could take can you take your helmet off? I think don't you need help with that? Or
does your face squash in? What happens?
I don't know. Well, I've heard different things. I've heard things that you squash in because there's no gravity or whatever it is, and so just the density of space just squashes you. There's no oxygen.
Oh my God! Do you not be mad if you popped your head off and took it off and like ready to kill yourself and like, hang on, I can breathe, and it was all a conspiracy theory. Hang on a minute, and David Icke and they were right, and it's all a projection. You're like, oh my God, yes!
Oh wow! I'm just gonna float forever.
Yeah, just wait. Oh, hopefully I'll bump into some aliens or something. They'll sort of suck me in.
I would like. That's when we talk about aliens. That's funny when people talk about life on other planets, and they always got like a human-esque kind of vibe to them. Yeah. The arrogance is that there's life, but it's going to be just like us. You know, like,
we're gonna. It'll be a if the alien is like. It might be here, but it's so alien we can't even see it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's like when you try and explain God. Do you think that God there's a bloke with a beard? That'd be a hell of a coincidence. So obviously they say he made us in his image if you're Christian. But God, I believe there is something, right? I believe something started this. But if you're trying to think of what that thing is, don't even bother, because it's nothing that we'll ever get our heads around. It's just like. It doesn't even. I don't even know what I'm trying to picture, but it's just like nuss,
yeah,
nuss, some sort of nuss that just created this nuss, and that's it.
It's just a nuss.
Yeah, it's just a nuss. But it's not something you can pray to or ask it a question. It just is. It's like that. So I guess it's the Tao, isn't it? The Great Tao. That's what we say. Like something that flows to the left. The name that cannot be named. It's just it. The thing.
Yeah.
It. I believe in it, whatever it is.
But this is it. I don't think human beings have this unquenchable thirst and need to find out where we come from, what the truth is. And you're never going to find out. You're never going to know. Like you've just said, you're never going to know. And even if it was right in front of you, you couldn't comprehend it.
No, you're not going to get. The main thing you need to know is just enjoy this. Whatever
just
it is,
enjoy this.
Yeah, don't try and figure it out. Don't try and it's like trying to understand love as opposed to just feeling love. Like you can be like, oh, what is love? Love, when I describe it, is it no, fuck all that. Love is you feel it. Like you can intellectualize it all you want. So like but when you feel it the first time, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It's like,
mate.
And just to be able to, if you've never felt it, and you couldn't describe it, doesn't mean it's not there. So we've all felt it. Do you know what I mean? We know it. We know it's there. But you might have to put your finger on it. It doesn't mean it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a thing.
Trying to find out all these things, just accept them. Just accept
it. Flow with it.
Accept this, and like you've been, you've experienced it at a high velocity.
That's what mania does. I think mania does it. It just taps you into that thing. It's like they say in the Bible. It'll say to enter the kingdom of heaven. You must become like a child to enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, what they're saying in there, I don't think is like become like a baby, like in Mortal Kombat. But I think what they're saying is like, you need to, if you can get your mind into the state of a child, you are in heaven. This is it. And I think sometimes what mania does, and some drugs can do, they can, like, some psychedelics can make you realize, whoa, you'll pick up this glass and go, oh my God. And it's like, but that's because you've forgotten how incredible it is that this thing is. Because you're old now, you're like, oh, it's just a glass. Do you understand how mad it is that there is things called glasses? Do you know what I mean? Or like, and like a plant, like this. Look at my arm. Look at this thing, the tentacle thing with like 5 other tentacles on it. This world is crazy. You just forgot. And I think when you're manic, you get back into that. And you're like, that's why you become unbearable, because you're like, I love this. This is amazing. I remember I ran into and all your senses get heightened as well in mania. So songs, you'd be like, oh, this song, you'd be crying your eyes out because you really get it.
Yeah.
You really understand Bowie, or you understand like whatever it is, or like Jimmy. You'd be like, oh, I can feel him, like Michael Jackson. And I remember I went to a corner shop one time, and I was in this very manic state, and I was like, you don't know what you want to present itself to you. And I was like, you got any ice pops? I know I got an ice pop because I had 20p. And anyway, just bit it, and I put it in my mouth, and I sucked it, and I went, oh my God. And I just put it in the air. I said, I grabbed the woman behind the counter and, this is incredible. I was like, have you got any more of these? Anyway, I spent like 70 quid on ice pops. And I was walking down the street with this big box of ice pops, just like, oh my God, my face was so happy. And this woman walked past me and went, you enjoying that, are you? And I went, yeah. I went, oh my God, here, chase this. So she was like a stylist with a suitcase. So I gave her an ice pop. So we were both there sucking this ice pop together. And then some other guy walked past and went, what was it, free samples? I went, oh, and I gave him one. And now there's like this big group of people eating ice pops. And I went, sit there, and walked off. It's sort of mad thing that happens.
But that's it. But that's because you open yourself up. I think they're talking about innocence, aren't they?
Yes, it is.
The innocence of a child. Kind of like, wow. Yeah, wow.
It's always, they say interested people are interesting. Like, to see, if you meet someone who's not really into anything, it's like, well, how am I supposed to get to know you? When people are, oh my God, you've got to see these things.
Yeah.
They're exciting to hang around with, people who are enthused by things.
Yes.
So you've got to do everything you can to keep that thing alive. If at any point you find yourself sitting there thinking, oh, life shit, you've gone mad.
Yeah.
You've literally gone mad. Like, this is mental. All this is mental. Like people like these Zen Buddhists, they'll say like, they'll become enlightened by looking into like I think they'll say like an ashtray, looking at some old cigarette butts. Even that, what's the worst thing you think of? That's fascinating to the right mind, you know?
Yeah. It's all every the fact that when I really start, but it's all about being present, isn't it? I remember reading in one of Ruby Wax's books, and she said that whenever she has a moment and she's feeling a bit overwhelmed, she goes, right, and she centers herself. She goes, right, I can, and like you try to feel where you're at, so I can feel the chair I'm sat in. I can feel the desk. I can actually feel it, and really feel it. And like you said with the glass, that's a glass, and I can feel what that feels like. And you kind of bring yourself back down, because you're actually feeling the things around you, rather than running forward at 1,000,000 miles an hour, going, I need to do the thing, I need to do that thing, and I got to do this, I got to finish that, and I got blah 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 blah. And then suddenly you forget that you've eaten lunch because you just woofed it down, and then you ran off, and then you go like, I don't even remember what I had. That's
But I know I want something more. It's like, you don't even process the last food you had. It's like, and sometimes I think when you do that sort of mindful, I notice another thing is when you sort of pay attention, that mindfulness thing with eating, when you do that, some of the things you eat it might be like some like really nasty, some gross sweets. You're like, it's actually, when I actually think about what I'm eating, it's actually disgusting.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Some of these things, some of these like cheap sweets, you just thing you just stuff in your face with, like randomly, because just like one thing to the next. You're like, that's actually gross.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and I remember, I can't remember who said this, but like they were saying that the tongue is the ego and the body is like the soul or whatever. Like for some reason, your tongue is going to want the quick fix, the sweets, the sugar, the sort of thing. But your body craves stuff like spinach and wholesome stuff. But like the tongue is the ego. It's like, no, I want the most impotent thing. But your body, what your body needs is the goodness, is the naturalness and all the sort of health and vitality. But your tongue's never thinking, oh, health. It's just thinking, nah. Stimulation. Come on.
And someone said that to me the other day. Actually, they said, your gut health is really important. Like your gut is your second brain, and you've got to feed the bacteria in it like decent stuff. So then you become a healthier person. You've got this whole ecosystem going on inside you to help keep this vehicle going that carries your brain around. And if you just feed it with shit, then all those. I remember years ago, my ex-partner Marilyn, and she goes, I always see it as like there's little men in my body, and at certain points that like some of the men are asleep, and I need to wake them up. So, you know, the men that deal with the water, so I need to drink more fluid and more water and wake them up and get them moving. And then I need to put decent stuff in my body, because if I keep putting cake in it, they all just go to sleep because they're all in a sugar coma. And I was like, that's such a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's like cartoon when you're a kid. They're sort of carrying things around, like sending up there.
Yes,
we're knackered now. Can't be asked.
That's Osmosis Jones or whatever it was. I remember the cartoon.
Yeah, what was that?
It was just
like in the 90s.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, sort of, 90s. And Osmosis Jones was this copper in the body, and he was driving around policing it basically. Like there was all this like mad shit going on inside the body.
Wow, I'd hate to look at my body. God knows what's going on. Oh, that's really quite healthy. Kicking up around. But yeah, it is weird, that thing about like that childish. It's sometimes, I don't know if this is the same point, but like sometimes the world is so amazing that you've forgotten. Like I always think of this with airports. Like when you go to an airport, like, but maybe they do this as like, so the government trying to keep us so we don't get too excited. But the airport could not be more exciting. You're about to go on a giant metal bird and go on your holidays, have a great old time. But the reality of the airport is, dong dong, please go to thingy. It's like, oh, the whole thing is like, oh. But maybe they do that because if we're like how we should be, we'd be like, fuck yeah, I'm in the airport, come on. We'd be sort of running around, going, I'm going on my motherfucking holidays, man, come on. But that wouldn't really work in an airport, would it? It'd be chaos. So
I think
you have to like.
It needs to be quite sedate, I think, quite sort of chilled.
Yeah.
No, that's not. Everyone
nothing
needs
to see here.
No,
You're just going up in a gigantic metal bird at 50,000 feet. Nothing to worry about there.
So that's it. That's it. Because you're running around going, I'm going on my fucking holidays. Well, there's someone going, I'm getting on a plane and I am fucking terrified.
Yeah.
And so the last thing they need is us running around going, we're getting on a fucking plane.
Yeah, this is crazy. Oh god, this guy's unnerving me.
Because there was always that conversation about how the fuck the planes fly? How do you get them up there? And obviously, it's something I'll never comprehend. Even though I know I can read it, it still doesn't make sense to me. It's like boats, it's like ships. It's like, how the fuck do they float? And then someone said, well, water's heavier than the ship.
And the air, it's like I get it and stuff. But like, I used to think that when I was a kid. I remember looking at a massive ship and thinking, if I put this little pebble in the sea, boop, sinks. But that massive thing that weighs, it manages to stay up. And obviously we know how it works. I'm not thick or anything. It still is mental. Like someone, because imagine when you first suggested a ship before there's no ships, people would be like, you've lost your mind, mate. It's massive. It's like, yeah, but I think if we just do this, like, don't be thick. Even a tiny bit of metal will sink. It's like, no, trust me. And same with the plane. That's the thing about belief. And, people, there was a book called, someone wrote like in the 50s, not 50s or whatever it was, a long time ago, in the 1900s or 1920s, saying why man will never fly. And the Wright brothers never read that book. And they're the guys who invented the airplane. Yeah, so it's just like, don't even entertain these things. If you're not thinking you can't be done, then you're already, on a better stead to do it than. It's like if you read a book saying why comedy is impossible. You'd be like, you're gonna read that and go, oh well, fuck, it's no point. It's like, fuck all that.
Do you know what? You're right. Actually, I remember years ago, before I used to love comedy, but then I'd read something, and it would say like, "Oh, being a stand-up comedian is one of the hardest jobs in the world," and that genuinely went, "Oh well, I'm not gonna do. I'll never do that then. I'll never do that. I'm quite shy. I'll never do that. It sounds horrific." And I always remember that. Yeah. And I'm like, no, wow, man, I did do it. And now I love it.
I did.
And, yeah.
I'm doing the hardest job in the world. Sorry, surgeons.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Elon Musk. But we are doing the hardest job in the world. What we're doing now, this is the hardest job in the world.
This is so hard. Phew. I don't know how we do it.
It is weird, that thing of like, that it was not even I've always been quite lucky with that. It's just the way I'm wired. This is so fortunate. Like if I hear in the papers like, or a 1,000,000 to 1 chance, like guy beat all the odds to basically achieve his dream. I'm like, so you're saying there's a chance? I'm like, I just think that. I think yes, great. I mean, I'm a very lucky person. I'm the luckiest and I'm the unluckiest person. But I just know I've had some good luck. I think, why can't that be me? Why not?
Yeah.
It's just like,
yeah.
Go for it. And now you're doing it. It's mad. It's great, isn't it? When you forget now that you're it's so weird stand-up comedy, isn't it? It's all right.
Yeah.
This is probably a boring chat, but like some people are just like, how in the hell do you even contemplate doing that? It's like, it's a good point. I don't know where this mad delusion comes from that we think, well, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fine.
Fine.
Yeah, it's the scariest thing known to man, but that's absolutely fine. We'll be okay.
Well, do you know what? I met someone yesterday. I was doing some writing with them, and she was. It started off with she was saying that I spend a lot of time just laying around, just thinking, what's the point? Everything's pointless. She was homeless for a bit, and now she's been taken in, and she's building her confidence back up and getting back out into society. And she's only 23, and she was going.
Wow.
She was going. As we were having a conversation, trying to work out some comedy with her. And she's going, there's no point to life. I don't see the point. And then she said, I was bullied when I was a child. And then one of the bullies sort of popped up on Facebook connected to somebody else. And I saw their life and they've got married and they've got kids and they've got this, that and the other. And I'm like, that looks horrific. You don't look happy and you're still living in the same town that we grew up in. You peaked at school. You haven't gone anywhere. I'm in London. Yeah, I was homeless, but I'm not now. And now I'm back out. I'm in fucking London, baby. And we did this whole bit. And I'm like, yeah, even though you're at your lowest, you've still got something in you that has made you travel and go somewhere else and try to set up go for it. That's what people need to remember. That you might be at your lowest ebb, but there's something in you that keeps pushing you on and keeps making you get up in the morning. And that's so important to remember.
You got to reframe it in your head.
Yeah.
Like, this is not like, it's not a fail. Like, I've done nothing. You haven't. You're just trying to do something, and like you've hit a bad patch, and you keep going again. That's it. You've got to keep going, haven't you? That's it. It's just not giving up. It's mad. Some days it is extremely hard, though, isn't it? I mean, everyone gets that, don't they? That's the thing. I had a bit of a wobble. Like I've really had a wobble for a long time, actually. About 3 weeks ago, my brain started. Maybe it's because I haven't gigged for 4 months, so you start to sort of doubt yourself there a little bit. I guess. It's like I haven't got that feedback where and it's a dangerous game to play this. I know you're supposed to find love within and accept yourself, but like at the end of the day, it's not as easy said, done, is it? You still I know all the words, and obviously I know that logically, but still nothing feels better than a good roar of laughter. Like, oh, thank God for that. Do you know what I mean? That just does me so well. That's my new drug, to be fair. Like, that's what I'm addicted to. I like that feeling. So I've not had that. So you start to question things because your brain starts to think, can you even do that anymore? It's like, oh God. Yeah, you're right. Well, not. Then you get nervous about it. Oh God, I've got to go back on stage. Oh my God. And then that just starts to spiral and I can't remember what the point was there about this. Like, it's when you're in a depressed state. It's everything is so much harder. When you've not been depressed for a while or not had that feeling, it's like, oh no, you sort of forget and you forget. God, wow, it's just like going outside is a nightmare, and like, everything is hell. I know I've got a few friends now who are going through it at the moment, and it's just like, it's mad speaking to them and speaking to like a different person. It's like, hey mate, and they're like, hey, how you doing? You're right. It's like, oh, and you've got to be there, well, because the thing will lift. Yeah, and it will lift. It's just like something's not firing in their brain, and like that's the thing about depression. Like the only reason to get up and want to clean your teeth and brush your teeth or to chat to people, something like signals get fired from your brain to go, oh it's Dave, yay, and it sends a little shot of energy for you to go, hey mate, and it forces like you to want to talk and forces your brain to engage. But when all that goes, you're just like, there's nothing motivates you to stand up, to sort of like just okay, what do I it's just really confusing. Do you know, it's funny, it's having that, recognizing that you have that in you to keep going. It's so important. Do you know what? Going back to what we were talking about, staying on the beach and you drop a pebble in the sea. I know this is going to sound crazy, but I don't. Oh God, I don't throw stones in the sea anymore because I'm like, wow, they worked so hard to get up on the beach, and now I've thrown them back in. You feel guilt.
I'm like, I'm like. And they don't know they're stones, but for some reason I'm like, oh, imagine that, you've gone all that way, you've pushed yourself on, got caught up in all the waves, and you got up on the beach, and you're like, yeah, and then this fucker comes along and throws you back in.
Mate, I think you're the same as me. I'll tell you what the problem is. Me and you have grown up watching Disney movies, and all we do is picture like a show called The Little Pebble, and it's like you picture his mum going, "Where's little Jimmy? He set sail for the great land, the dry land. Apparently he's made it. Oh, he's back. Oh, someone's lobbed him back in." It's like, oh, you're back quick. Yeah, some fucking bloke with a beard chucked me back in the swine.
I've been away 20 years and
20 years. I peaked and then whoosh, it's the same with that's the same reason I struggle to, like, obviously you shouldn't kill, ideally don't kill anything, but some people just like, if there's a spider there, I'll like whack the spider, but I'm like I picture what about the spider's mum? I picture the spider's mum going like, where's little Billy Joe? What's he doing? He's oh no, he's not come back. Just like,
I know. You're right. I do. Yeah, everything's aware of itself. Cushions, your coat. Like when I go in my wardrobe and my clothes go, oh, you haven't worn me for a while, and I'm like, all right.
God, your life must be hell, Rich. The car, you haven't driven me for 2 days. All right, I'm going to put my clothes on, guys. I'm going to get in the car and we're going for a drive. Okay, it's all good.
Can everyone calm down? Everyone calm down.
That's funny. Look, that's as you were saying earlier, weirdly. You're saying about how God, we sort of imagine God's going to be in our image. That's sort of another version of that. Like when we see, like sometimes I'll see animals like doing things to each other, or like an animal will sort of like maybe do that with its hand, and it'll go viral. Like, oh look, this animal waved at us. It's like we as humans perceive that because that's what we do. Hey, look, it's waving at us. But that animal could just be like, it doesn't know what's going on, but it's just it's just like doing something. We're like, oh look, he's looking at me waving. It's like we sort of always. Is anthropomorphize things? Is that the right word?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember very much as we established earlier, but something I remember. I think anthropomorphize. Oh, for fuck's sake.
It is something like that. We anthropomorphize. Yeah. Oh shit! Now I'm doing it.
We project ourselves onto things. It's like we'll sort of see. Yeah, it's like when we see a wall and you'll see the face of Jesus in it. Oh look, looks like Jesus, but it's just a stain. But we'll sort of we see it. Anyway,
there's that thing. I see faces in things. So like buildings and all sorts of cars.
What's it called? Pareidolia.
Is it something like that? Yeah, when you see faces in stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrifying. Terrifying.
I remember when I lived in Greenwich, and then there's by Deptford Station. Every time I pulled in, there's an old warehouse, and where the drains and that, where all the things were, it looked like a mouth with teeth, and then the windows were the eyes. And every time you pull in, you didn't want to be off your head. Pulling into Deptford Station, just see this thing just.
Yeah, no, I've had that before. I remember when I was a kid, I used to look at cars and think, like for some reason, like the VW Beetle looked really friendly, like beep beep.
Yeah.
Like the big eyes, like oh hello. But then you'd have sort of like Mercedes, which were like BMWs were like really scary, like whoa.
Or big old American cars like a Cadillac. It was evil.
With a grill on the front.
Yeah, that's why I love that film. One of my favourite films is Christine, which is
that.
Yeah. Such a cheesy film, but I love it.
John Carpenter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love that style. Because my stepdad, one of my stepdads was he used to. That's what's weird about my life. Like, so he builds hot rods. He used to like collect hot rods. So I remember I'd constantly have the American Graffiti soundtrack on, and like I always knew like the Plymouths, and I knew like about the Chevys and stuff and like so I always knew about all these things. I've got this knowledge of database. My friends are always really impressed. I'd be like, that's a Model T Ford from 1920s. He's like, how do you know these things? I'm like, you learn something very young. It doesn't leave you.
Yeah. I'm the same with cars. Just bits of like, again, it goes back to what we said at the beginning. My head is just full of tat that most people don't give a shit about, but for some reason my brain has decided that's what I need to remember that.
Are you into cars then? Were you into old cars?
I am, yeah.
Oh,
I am.
cool.
Love it. I love them. Yeah. The dream. I used to have a Mark II Ford Cortina 1600E, 1969.
Mark II. Is that Mark II? I remember the Mark I Ford Fiestas. Remember those?
Oh yeah.
Mark I. I remember that. What's the one where it's got the long back on it? There's the Ford Fiesta which is slightly shorter, but could you get a Ford Fiesta which had a back on it, or was that something? Something else?
There was something else. There
Mark II. Was that a Mark II?
So the Mark II Cortina was this. It was in gold as well, with a black vinyl roof, like proper.
Wow.
Yeah, it was lovely. And it got stolen, but.
No, hang on. If that gets stolen, surely you can find a black thing with a gold roof.
It just vanished. It just vanished.
Man.
It never to be seen again. That was 20 years ago. Yeah.
I wonder where that is now.
Who knows, man? It's either been broken down for parts, or someone somewhere's got it in a lockup somewhere else, gone abroad. Who knows, man? What happens to them? Or it might just got burnt out in a field. Who knows?
Yeah. Do you know my fantasy? I've always been a bit extreme. My fantasy when I was a kid, I always used to really fantasize about like turning up to. You know, when you're a kid, you have mad fantasies. Like you turn up to school one day, even though you're only 6, you turn up like in sunglasses on, driving funny cars. They're like dragsters.
Yeah.
And they've got really thick, big wheels at the back.
That's it.
And it's like, and the chassis is just made out of like fiberglass or something, so it wobbles a bit. But I used to fantasize about like just pulling up to school and go, right, girls, and just like sort of go.
And it lifts up, it lifts up as well, so you can get out of it.
And you get out of it. Yeah, exactly. And it's got the bucket seat where you put the things like in an airplane.
I always wanted the Pink Panther car. Don't know if you ever remember that. You're a bit younger than me. It was, I don't know what it was, but it was made by a what was his name? Chuck Barris. Is it him? And he designed the first Batmobile in the 60s, wow. And he did the Pink Panther, he did the Monk, right? he did the
Thunderbirds.
He didn't do Thunderbirds, but he did the Munsters and he did the Monkeys. He did their car.
Oh,
not
wow!
Chuck. It's not Chuck.
Did they have a Model T? Did they have a Model T?
They had what they had was an old Pontiac GTO. And it was, right. They'd done it so it looked like it was a convertible, but it was really long. And it's mad. It looks like a, I don't know.
The Monkeymobile.
Yeah, the Monkeymobile. That was it. Yeah, it was. And I used to look at those and go, yeah, but they're so impractical. Imagine banging around in a Batmobile. Oh
man, I tell you what. We all know I'm stuck in my childhood, but I swear to God, and I just, there's some things I'm just gonna have to do when if I make it and make a load of money, I'm gonna have to get a slide from my bed to my kitchen, like stuff like that. I do not understand how you get how millionaires, like people like Bill Gates, they've got billions and they haven't got one of those. Like they still use stairs like a pleb. It's like I'd have like all these mad but then. It just annoys me when I just see them spending money on the same basic stuff. Sorry, the point I was trying to get to that I'm pinging around here.
So you want to get up? You want to get up in the morning like Wallace and Gromit?
Yes, and just slide to my kitchen, just go into my trousers. How much fun would it be to wake up doing that? And if you've got £1 million, you could do that, but no one does. But also another thing I'll definitely get is just because I've thought about this so much in my childhood, I'm gonna have to get a Knight Rider car, a kit, the Pontiac Firebird, and I'm gonna get a Tesla engine in it, so it has that sort of. Get Elon to sort of like do something to it, because that'd be so great.
Actual kit, that'd be amazing.
So oh mate, I'd love it because they're massive, aren't they?
Yes, my dream car is the Starsky and Hutch car, the 1976. Ford Gran Torino.
The Gran Torino.
Yeah, and it just sits up. It's got big wheels on the back, so it just sits up.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
One of those, I would happily drive around in one of them.
How much? Because this is the thing. The mad thing is, when you go onto like sort of classic car websites and stuff, they're not that expensive. I mean, they're expensive, obviously. Like, could be like 40, 50 grand. But like, when you think of that compared to like a Ferrari or something, like, it ain't that. It's not too bad, is it?
No, there's one. I've looked at. I have Googled it. There's no way I'm getting one now, but I've Googled it. I saw one for 15, and I saw one for 15 grand, and I saw one for 35 grand. So, it's
you can just keep putting some money away. Keep putting it away.
Put £1 a day away.
When you're 80, you'll be bopping around like, Starsky and Hutch.
I'd have to give you the blonde wig and we'll go driving around.
Oh, man, I'd love that. I actually did look at, I put a thing on my Facebook saying, does anyone want to buy me this? I found a monster truck for 15 grand.
Oh, nice.
Imagine just like turning up to a comedy gig in a monster truck.
But no one would be surprised, Rich. If it was you, they'd go, yeah, that's where Rich is at the minute.
All right, guys. Cheers. What time am I on? Nice one.
Yeah. No, that's what he's doing now, and let's just not question it. Let's let him get on with it.
Just reversing back and like backing over the promoters like Nissan Micra. Oh shit! Sorry.
Oh god. Oh mate, this has been so much fun. I really enjoyed talking to you. Is there anything you want to talk about before we go? Is there anything you might have missed? Anything you want to cover?
I mean, look, I'd love to say, please come and see me on tour. I would love to have you along, and just to the show. It means the world. I'm probably not going to do it for very longer, so this is probably one of the last chances you'll get. And if you're in London, I'm going up and down the country. There's like 22 dates, I think. It's all at richhardisty.com. All the dates are there, and I'll give you the link to that. And Soho Theatre is on sale. That's right. If you're in London, please, on the 9th and 10th of May. Nice. It's a very important gig for me, and I just love a warm audience if you've enjoyed
Absolutely. Like we said before, I've already seen it 3 times. I'm going to be seeing it again.
Right.
And then I'll be with you in Milford Haven, man. I'm really
Yes,
excited. Supporting
Yes,
you.
sick.
I'm so excited. It's going to be great.
Buzzing. When is that? When is that again?
That's the end of April. So
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
so if you want the Insane the Membrane podcast experience, come to Milford Haven.
there you go. There you go.
Get both of us.
Yeah, man.
Perfect.
Rich, this has been great. Thank you, mate.
Cheers.
All right.
Take care. See
Take
you
care,
guys.
mate. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Cheers. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again on Insane in the Membrane.